All right. Hello, Atlanta Westside. My name is Jeff Heck. I'm an elder and on staff here at Atlanta Westside as the chief strategist. And with me is
Walter Henniger, senior pastor.
And we wanted to give you an update on the status of a building that we have under contract at 1255 Collier Road. This is the first for us doing this format of a video, but hopefully it'll give you all some information on what we're thinking about and the status of this project. So the purpose of this video is really to share some of the feedback that we got from you, the congregation, the 200 of you that responded to the survey that we sent out a couple of weeks ago, share a little bit about how we're thinking about the location of the building in particular, and give you an update on the process and next steps, and then invite you to join with us in prayer as we continue to seek the Lord's will in this big decision. So with that, Walter, you want to give us an overview maybe of what we heard from folks in the survey?
First of all, thank you for filling out the survey. Really grateful on short notice in a week's time to get such consistently thoughtful feedback. The overall impression that we got was that the vast majority of those who responded are in favor of moving toward purchasing and renovating this facility. And that was paired with a sense, it was also a strong sense that while worshiping currently at Boyd Elementary is consistent with our vision, it's in the heart of the parish where we have been searching for a facility, the work, the expense, the volunteer hours that are currently involved in worshiping at Boyd are really difficult to sustain for a long period of time. So sort of like you all, we heard say primarily, we don't think we can keep doing Boyd that long, and on the whole, we see a great opportunity at Collier Road. The primary reservations that we heard, or theme that we heard, was one that we elders had talked a lot about, was the simple fact that it is not where we have been looking for the last few years in the center of the parish near Boyd Elementary. It is about a mile north and west of DeForest Center, where we have met for 9.5 years of our church's life, but that's not exactly where we have been looking. It's within the parish, and in particular, the reservation, even given what we've been talking about, preaching through in Ephesians lately, the reservation was that this might undermine our efforts to move toward people who are different from us, to connect Buckhead to Bankhead, and that was one of the reasons why we wanted to be in the center of the parish. And what we have heard from you, and what we concluding as a session increasingly, is that the things that are necessary for us to fulfill our vision in becoming a church that looks more like the kingdom of God and looks more like the Westside as a whole, the decisions, the strategies, the concrete actions, among those things, the location of the building is actually not the highest or most impactful factor. The way I would put it is if there are 10 things that we need to be about in priority order, the location of our building, as long as we are in the parish, is somewhere around number 6. Higher up on the list would be related to what I've been talking about recently as opening up new streams, new relational and programmatic connections that can introduce people into our church who are not like our majority demographic. So if you think of the church like a pond, we have a wide river of people that are already connected to the PCA, people that are like our majority demographic, whites and educated middle-class folks. That river is always going to be streaming into our church. But what we really need to do to grow in diversity is to put more time, effort, staff into digging out new channels to build relationships with people outside of that majority demographic. And we think not only is the location of our building doesn't prohibit us from doing that either way, but Boyd is currently taking up so much of our time and energy and money that it will be difficult for us to do that. And if we have a 24/7 facility, we have the ability to use that facility as a tool for digging those channels, as a place where we can serve the community, build partnerships with other ministries. So while it's not what our ideal has been, And we've seen the Lord close so many doors that we were seeking in the ideal center of the parish. We don't believe that it undermines that key part of our vision.
And we've considered in the past, Walter, some locations and facilities that are really much further south even than Boyd. Can you just share a little bit about the thought about some of the things that we've been talking about in that respect as well as the session?
Yeah, very briefly, if we were to move our majority white, middle class, often affluent church into a neighborhood that is predominantly African American, predominantly working class or poor, we believe that that would actually work counter to our desire to build bridges and ultimately one day become under the same roof in the family of God. Grove Park in particular is undergoing a lot of gentrification that's only going to increase in the coming years, and there's a danger that we would be viewed as invaders, as colonizers, rather than as partners who would want to learn from and partner with them. So we believe that moving all of the way down into the southern part of our parish is not the wisest move now. We want it to be in the center, but we don't think that being farther north is going to undermine that basic commitment to our vision.
Yeah, and that's come not just from us sitting around and talking about it, but from conversations we've had with a lot of folks that live in the community, that serve the community, leaders there as well. So we're not naive enough to think that we can just come to that conclusion on our own. It's been important feedback that we've received as we've learned more about what this could look like to do in the right way.
One thing Presbyterians know how to do is talk, and we have had an extraordinary number of conversations in seeking wisdom. And we're not known for praying as much, but we have spent a great deal of time praying as well.
Indeed. Well, maybe I'll share a little bit of an update on where we are with the building. So there is some great information to provide you with an overview of the building that's available on CCB and a presentation that we walked through a couple of weeks ago. So to learn more about that, you can go there. You can also look at the FAQ, which is on the website under the blog section. And we're continually updating that FAQ based on feedback and questions we get from you. So if you continue to have questions after this, you can email them to the church office at office@atlantawestside.org, and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can and use that as the primary way to interact with you, at least for the next week or so. So where we are in the process of acquiring this building at 1255 Collier Road is we've signed a contract. We signed the contract last Friday, and we put down earnest money, which is refundable for the next 45 days while we complete our due diligence. So over the course of those 45 days, we have a lot of work to do, and we're going to be doing our homework on the property and its condition, as well as refining our plans for what building it out for our use would be, and developing a more detailed estimate of what the cost would be. There's a tenant in the building that we are expecting to continue to receive rent from in order to service the debt that we'll incur as a result of buying this building. So we'll need to do our diligence and work with that tenant to make sure that we're comfortable with that arrangement, and also secure financing for the building. So we're talking to a number of different lenders now, and hopefully in the next week or so expect to have more of an update for you on that front. And then lastly, we'll need to raise a sufficient money in pledges and gifts in a capital campaign in order to both acquire and then build out the portion of the building that we will occupy. And so this raises the natural question, how much money do we need to raise? And that's going to depend in large part on two things. First, how much financing we can obtain and are comfortable with. And secondly, how much the build-out will actually be. And so both of those things are really works in progress right now. We expect to have more clarity over the next week or two. And depending on the answer to those questions, though, we're estimating that in addition to the pledges and gifts we received as a part of our capital campaign we did last fall, that we'll need to raise an additional about 1.5, potentially a little bit more, $1 million to both purchase the building and complete the build-out of the sanctuary and office space that we would occupy going forward. Now, it doesn't mean we need to raise all that money in 45 days, and we're still working out how much cash versus pledges over 3 years that would require, but we do need to feel good that we've got the sufficient financial resources to move forward. and not to burden the church with an unreasonable amount of debt or risk that would inhibit what we really want to do, which is be part of the kingdom work of the Lord. So as we get more information, we're planning on a congregational meeting on Sunday, October 15th. So that's a week from this Sunday. By that point, we hope to have more clarity around the magnitude of a capital campaign, an update on financing, a site plan, and potentially some renderings of what the building could look like after we're done with build out, and to share with you all those things and continue this conversation. So mark your calendars for the 15th, and then in the interim, we've been talking about how can you help, which is a question we hear all the time, and we very much appreciate.
And the first and most significant answer to that is we are genuinely, desperately seeking your prayer. We do not want to do anything of this magnitude that the Lord is not in. And all of the wisdom and the business experience that is being brought to bear on this has been such a gift, but the whole church needs to be on its knees asking the Lord to make sure that this is what He wants for us, that He will provide, that it will enable us to fulfill the vision that He has given us. So we're pleading with you to pray, and one of the particular ways that we want to do that is we want to encourage you over these next, I guess we're down to about 30-something days, to fast in that praying with us. Now, you can fast on your own in whatever way, whatever day you might choose to do it. Sometimes people just fast for a meal, for a whole day. Fasting is not magic. It doesn't twist God's arm. It's primarily a way that reminds us of our need for the Lord, and our hunger prompts us to pray. So you can do that at any time, but on next Friday the 13th of October, we are going to call for the whole church to be, if you're able, to fast and pray on that day. And we'll have the church offices open that day. I think we should probably open them around 7 a.m. so that people could come in before work. We'll have some guidance for how you can pray. And if there's any window throughout that day that you can just pop in, even for 15 minutes, and pray with other believers in the church for this, we would be forever indebted.
And I think it's just to reiterate, I think our desire is not for this to be this is not a real estate investment decision for us. This is something we're really prayerfully seeking the Lord in. And so even between now and Friday and next Sunday when we talk at the meeting, specifically we just ask you to pray for wisdom, pray for the Holy Spirit to really unify our church and give us a spirit of clarity and unity that reflects His unifying character, and then we also would begin to ask you to begin to ask the Lord how He might be inviting you to participate financially as well. We're not asking for prayer and money. We're asking for prayer, but we would encourage you. We will be doing that ourselves. This is the session as individuals, as families, seeking the Lord to begin to reveal to us how He might want us to participate in those things.
And if the Lord is in this, if this is worth doing, it's worth not only our time and our energy and our prayers, but also our money. Where did that come from?
Funny money?
Funny money. Yeah. For those who are still watching the video, there you go. Yeah.
Great.
So there'll be more questions, I'm sure, but hopefully you can come to the congregational meeting on the 15th, pray with us on the 13th, submit other questions to the website, and above all, pray.